Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Glad you're here. Oh, it's like the introductory remarks that get people to their seats. So, hey, we're really glad you're here. May the 4th be with you. If that's your sort of thing, huh? Yeah? No? Okay, maybe. And then Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. So this is like a sweet little intro to May, which feels like the busiest month of the year, maybe maybe December comes close too, but this May month, it's Maycember, is that what people call it? Oof. Okay, I'm learning things. I did not know that. Well, welcome to Maycember then. Okay. Hey, I got a couple of announcements. One is that Branch students, last meeting of the year is today at the Verkuyks home. So if you're a middle school or a high schooler, you can find all sorts of leaders scattered in the space today, and they are meeting for their final hurrah this afternoon. There's also this 4-page, quite a document that we handed out last Sunday, sharing visions and goals for this next year. And part of that involves making sure that we have ways for us to connect to each other. And I just want to put a couple things on your radar. We are currently working on campfires, fireside chats this summer, which we've done the last couple of summers, and we've had actually multiple people say, hey, can we do those again? And so we're working on dates. If you want to host one, if you'd like to have people in your backyard on an evening this summer, let us know. The other thing, you're going to have to guess what those words are. Weekly meals in the fall. Yep. We're also thinking about this. What would it look like to gather every week for a meal, for a way of staying connected, and how would that take shape? Where would it be? Whose home or homes would it be at? Again, what we're hearing and even just sensing is that in this moment in time, it's always true, but maybe especially in this moment, we need each other. We need to be connected to each other. We need to be encouraged by each other to carry on, to follow in this really upside down way of Jesus. And so we're just thinking about some of those. So if either of those kind of like, you just heard me say those things and you think, oh, I'm either interested in participating in that or maybe even considering what it would mean to help pull those off, let Teresa or myself know this morning. Okay. We have one more thing we're going to say this morning is kind of an announcement-y type deal, and that involves Create, this annual art camp that we host here for the neighborhood and far beyond for any child, and Teresa's going to kind of lead us through that here.
Well, first I want to tell you to go register, so do that. Register, invite friends, family, share the Facebook posts that we have, all of that. That QR code will take you to everything you need. And if you want to volunteer, because Create is the most fun you'll ever have in your entire life, then I'm setting the bar high. I know. If you want to volunteer that week, there's spots available for classroom help and registration and some administrative kind of things. So if you want to help that week, we would love to have you. Come talk to me, and I will get you in the right spot. We're going to use Create to transition into our call to worship here a little bit, because one of the overarching themes in Create, and one of the classes that tend to come back quite often, is some sort of recycled art. Taking what might be considered trash, what might be just thrown out in your recycle, in your trash, whatever, and turning it into something new and something beautiful. We're going to talk a little bit later this morning about dignity and the value that every single person brings. And I thought of trash. So I pulled some things out and said, these things are normally things that we would just throw away. And they would go in the garbage, they would go in the landfill, they'd go in our recycle, whatever. They're just extra parts, really don't have any, what we would say, value on their own, right? An old CD, who has a CD player? Anybody have any of those anymore? Some little, I don't even know, right? All of these things that just look like they're going to go in the trash and never be seen again, right? 1 year in recycled art. This is many years ago. I'm going to show you a picture here, and those of you who know my oldest son, he's in this picture, and you'll know that this was a long time ago. 1 year, there was a class that did this, laid stuff out, trash, pieces of, there was some pipes, there was some PVC in it, there was just random things. And they said, make a sculpture. And these kids made sculptures out of whatever they had, right? All right, Brian, would you put that picture up for me? Thank you. See, he's little. He's the one on the left. That's my guy. And his cousin on the right. This, you can't see all the black ones, but they took all of these things and spray painted them and turned them into sculptures. And that middle one, each kid pulled a piece from this trash pile and put it all together and made something beautiful and said, there's worth, there's value in anything. And they brought whatever they had together to create art, to create something beautiful. It's a visual reminder for me of, yes, create is the coolest thing in the whole entire world, so go register, but also it's a visual reminder for me that there's worth in everything, there's value in everyone, no matter what it looks like, right? No matter if it looks like something that isn't gonna be of any use, just something that doesn't have any monetary value anymore. Everything has value and worth. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that throughout the morning here. Katie's gonna come and lead us in a call to worship, and Kevin's gonna lead us in a song right after that.
Your part is in yellow. Come just as you are. No need to pretend or perform. God does not ask us to clean up first. Every part of our story belongs here, successes and failures, peace and pain. This is holy ground where honesty is honored and grace is poured out. So come with hearts wide open.
Let's stand together if you are able. Every day we go to war again. We assume we know so much more than them before we hear what they have to say. Headline breaks and we start to hate again, calling them names again. We give our peace away, and I hope they see it, 'cause I wanna see it. I hope we believe it, and I wanna see the love and all around you, all around you. And I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. day by day. Hope fades away, and then we know there is pain within. We cannot medicate. Learn to feel, learn to begin again. Open our eyes again to see another's pain. And I hope they see it, 'cause I wanna see it. I hope we believe it. And I wanna see the love all around you, all around you. And I wanna know the love is all around you. It's all around you. And see how it lights you up. It lights you up. See how it lights you up. It lights you up. See how it lights you up. It lights you up. I wanna see the love, and all around you, and all around you. And I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you.
You can have a seat, everybody. It's all around you, even in this moment. And I hope, like we just sang, I hope that you can see it. The way in which love takes tangible forms, like in the faces of the people around you, in the beautiful sunshine, in the birds singing this morning, in a newborn baby that we get to grab and hold this morning. Love is real, and it is all around us, but it can be easy to forget that. And so my hope, as we just sang, is that we would have eyes to see, you would have eyes to see the ways in which love is all around. Because if we can see it, as we also sang, it lights us up. It lifts us up. Yes? So may you have eyes to see that love is all around. We're going to, I guess, in a sense, pray about that together for a few moments. We often have a framework that we use when we pray together. It's praise, protest, and petition. And I want to just invite you to think about those three things here for a moment. What things are you celebrating this week? What things in your life or in the world are not as they should be? And what do you need? What do you need? We tried this a couple weeks ago on Easter, and I had an epic fail. Let's see if it works this week. There's a QR code up here. Our form of prayer this morning is actually going to be typing. So let's see if this works. I was supposed to test it, and I didn't. So on Easter, it took us to a Zoom call. hopefully that is not the case today. Seeing people, no complaints yet. We did it. Okay, hey, it is possible to learn from our mistakes. So I'm just going to give you a couple minutes. Find a cell, find a square. Maybe you have something in all three of those columns that you want to express this morning. Maybe you have one or two. Just find a square and start typing. If you have young people with you, let me invite you to be in conversation with them this morning. Young people often don't have a phone, of course, so pull them in and ask them, like, what are you grateful for this week? And this doesn't have to be a silent time. It probably shouldn't be, actually. So let's take a few minutes. Talk, type, and then I'll close us once we have a few minutes to enter what we're thinking about. Someone shared that they got a promotion at work. Are they in this room, and do they want to raise their hand and let us know that? Because that seems awesome. It's okay. You might be online, right? Some folks are... Oh, gosh, I didn't quite get over to the edge. Elena, congratulations. That's awesome. Now we have something to ask you about afterwards. I want to know whose mom is running with them. That's a very nice... the Verkijk family, really coming in strong this morning. I'm vibing with you, okay? I'm dialed into what you are laying down. A child being brave. I don't even need to know the details. My sister started a business. I can guess who that's probably coming from, maybe? No? I love it. And then, of course, all these things that are not as they should be. We apologize to Elliot. I love that. Who is a lawyer, if you couldn't guess. Yeah, difficult diagnoses. Obviously, what's happening in our country and what's happening across the world. Strained relationships and, brutal realities of what it means to be alive in this moment. And then the things that we need. Hmm. Which are many, I'm sure many things not mentioned here. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think when we're young, if we grew up in a Christian home, we probably were taught to pray with our eyes closed and our hands folded. That makes sense because as children and as adults, but we like to pick on kids especially, we're maybe a little fidgety or we're easily distracted. Makes sense that we were taught to pray that way. But prayer happens in so many different forms. Let's not be pigeonholed to only think of prayer in that way. And so what you just did, what we just did, this is prayer. This is us expressing our heart, our gratitude, our lament, our need, and God promises to hear us. Whether our hands are folded and our eyes are closed, or we're talking out loud or typing in a Google Doc, God hears us and meets us. We're grateful for that. Amen. Feel free to keep adding to that. Maybe even come back to it this week. Could be a way to kind of drop in throughout the week and feel connected to this community. Remember these things that were shared here. Pray for the things that people have written in these columns. So I invite you to do that as well. All right, kiddos, young people. Joan and Elena, the recently promoted, are going to be taking some kids downstairs. Thanks, Elsa and Clarence as well. And we're going to send them with this blessing. Brian's going to put it up on the screen here before I forget, and they are gone. Let's speak these words to them as they go. Ready? May your time together be filled with wonder, joy, and friendship. You are loved. You are loved. All right. As they go, I'm going to invite you to stand back up and find somebody this morning. Say hello, shake a hand, maybe learn a name, and then we'll continue on with our time together.
All right, friends, I'm going to invite you to come find your seats. Sorry, I hate ending conversations. I'm so sorry. Also, I'm kind of not sorry. That prayer practice that we entered into is always something I love because I get to see all the joys of all of you. But it's a way to put on paper the hard things too, right? And to name the things that you need. And especially in the world in which we live these days, it is good to name the things that are wrong. And I think it's somehow even more cathartic to write them down and to let them be there. And then to say, okay, if that's our reality, what do we need? And I was struck by reading through some of the words about being reminded that we're not alone, about strength and courage to keep moving. And that is what we're trying to talk about here last week and these next few weeks here. We're trying to offer some stories of light, some stories that might be a way forward, to imagine a world that is good, to imagine the world where we build big, giant, loud, raucous tables instead of walls. In a world where, as we'll talk today, we demand dignity instead of divisions. We're trying to resist lies that are all around and in us too, that we believe too. The lie that we owe each other nothing, Chris talked about last week. And today we'll talk about resisting the lie that some people matter and the rest do not. So to do that, we're going to start with a story that Jesus told. This story is from Matthew chapter 20. It might be a familiar story to some of you, and if so, I invite you to listen with new ears, if that's possible. I'll admit to you my own lens with which I read this story this week in a little bit, and then we'll jump in, okay? Matthew 20, verses 1 through 16 says this: "For the kingdom of heaven is like the landowner who went out early one morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay the normal daily wage and sent them out to work. At 9 o'clock in the morning, he was passing through the marketplace and saw some people standing around doing nothing. So he hired them, telling them he would pay them whatever was right at the end of the day. So they went to work in the vineyard. At noon and again at 3 o'clock, he did the same thing. At 5 o'clock that afternoon, he was in town again and saw some more people standing around. He asked them, 'Why haven't you been working today?' They replied, 'Because no one hired us.' The landowner told them, 'Then go out and join the others in my vineyard.' That evening, he told the foreman to call the workers in and pay them, beginning with the last workers first. When those hired at 5 o'clock were paid, each received a full day's wage. When those hired first came to get their pay, they assumed they would receive more, but they too were paid a day's wage. When they received their pay, they protested to the owner, 'Those people worked only 1 hour, and yet you've paid them just as much as you paid us who worked all day in the scorching heat.' He answered one of them, 'Friend, I haven't been unfair. Didn't you agree to work all day for the usual wage? Take your money and go. I wanted to pay this last worker the same as you. Is it against the law for me to do what I want with my money? Should you be jealous because I'm kind to others?' And then these are the words of Jesus. 'So those who are last now will be first then, and those who are first will be last.'" So the lens through which I read this first this week, my undergrad degree is in business and finance. And as you can imagine, nearly 30 years ago, being a female in business and finance, I was one of few, actually, one of two females in most of my upper level classes. I know what it's like to be treated differently, to be treated unfairly, or so I think. So I don't like when there's a story about unequal pay. I want to stand up here and be like, everybody deserves equal pay and everybody deserves the hourly wage that everybody deserves. So that's how I started this week looking at this story, and I had to back up a little bit and say, wait, that is the Teresa Kinnear, my own experience lens through which I'm reading this. Maybe that's not the point. I think that's probably not the point. So I dug in a little bit and looked at the context of the story, the larger context of even the Gospel of Matthew in which it's written, and started asking some questions that are good questions for us to ask when we read Scripture. Why was this particular story included? Is there something they're trying to say? What's coming before it? Who was the audience? Who was Jesus' audience, but who was the intended audience of the author, right? This was helpful for me because as I read a little bit more, the Gospel of Matthew describes Jesus as a whole, kind of as a new Moses, the guy who's going to fulfill all of Israel's hopes and dreams, right? Perhaps Israel's hopes were to become great again, to become powerful, and the most important. The author was a Jewish follower of Jesus, writing to a predominantly Jewish audience, people who were struggling to accept the Gentiles, the non-Jews, as they came into the fold, as they started to follow Jesus. So I wonder, and I think is true, if this parable is talking about that reality of saying, hey, just because the Gentiles came into this community, came into this faith later than you all did, they're still just as important. And what they bring is just as important as what your tradition has taught you for generations and generations. Okay, once I read that, I could back up and I could actually read a little bit. And I noticed some interesting to me, I hope they're interesting to you, little details. How many times did the landowner go out and get workers? Did you notice this? Early, 9, noon, 3, and 5 o'clock. Lots and lots of times. He goes out in the early morning and gets workers. Common practice. Gets a lot of people, gets to work, love it. Hires some more at 9 because he notices people, add to the staff, awesome. Noon, great addition. 3, okay, maybe the early ones are getting a little tired. It's scorching hot, we read. Get some new energy, great. 5 p.m., the day is nearly finished. We read later that they worked for an hour. This, to my finance degree brain, does not make any sense. Why are we hiring people at 5 p.m.? Here's how that late day hiring went in verse 6. He, the landowner, asked these people, why haven't you been working today? And they replied, because no one hired us. That's it. No other context given than that. But in a culture of day laborers, which this was, what might be a reason that somebody didn't get hired in a day? Any ideas? You can talk out loud, it's okay. Physical disability, somebody else said something? Reputation, a bad reputation. Female. Yeah, all of these things that could be seen as, oh, they're probably not strong, they're probably not going to get a lot of things done. Maybe they had been looked over all day long, right? They had nothing to offer. They were like these random little pieces that could be seen as of no value. But the landowner saw something in them. He saw their worth. Even when they had been passed over multiple times, even when he himself had likely passed over them 4 times, he looked and saw their worth. He treated them with dignity. And then he treated them as the others. The day comes to a close. The workers collect their pay. The 5 p.m. workers get paid first. So not only do they work this much, but they get paid first. It's a curious order, isn't it? If I got hired at the end of the day, I'd be way in the back of the line and hoping nobody notices that I'm still there, right? But those 5 p.m. workers get paid first. It's curious. And then Jesus' words at the end, the last will be first, and the first will be last. So back to that context piece. The chapter before this story ends with another story that has a similar theme. Jesus is talking to his disciples, and Peter said to him, "We've given up everything to follow you. What will we get?" It's like those early morning laborers, right? We've done all of this. What are we going to get? We're going to get the big prize, right? And Jesus says, yes, don't worry, you will be rewarded. Yes, you will get your pay. You will get your reward. And then he says this, but many are the greatest now will be the least important then. And those who seem the least important now will be the greatest then. I think the author is trying to tell us something, right, in the order in which he put these stories. Jesus is trying to make a point about who we see as important today. It's true today. It was true 2,000 years ago. Those we deem to be important, those who are strong and able-bodied and can work hard and have power and influence and wealth, those people aren't given the status they think they deserve in the kingdom of Jesus. Those people on the margins, those ones who were last picked, are the ones that Jesus says they're the ones to look to. At the end of this parable, Jesus says the same thing again. So those who are last now will be first, and those who are first now will be last. There's something else I wonder about this, and I'm reading between the lines, and I fully admit that. Because Jesus wasn't always just teaching about these theoretical concepts, right? A lot of Jesus' time on earth was spent going to people and meeting their immediate needs. So I wonder if the very act of saying we're going to pay these last workers first was a way to provide dignity to them in the moment. To say, I know there's going to be grumbling from these other people, right? I don't want you to hear that. I'm going to pay you what you're worth, and I'm going to value your dignity, and I'm going to bring you everything that I want to bring you. I know it's going to cause grumbling. I don't want you to hear it. So they got paid first, and they left. They weren't waiting around to go to happy hour afterwards. They left. They're not subject to listening to others complain about how unfair it is that they got paid a day's work. They just get to celebrate and bask in the glow of the generosity of the vineyard owner. So those early workers are grumbling. Their response is, the response of the vineyard owner says, I got way ahead of myself, and I don't know where I am anymore. It's fine. Oh, I think I just didn't put it in. It's all right. The vineyard owner says, when those workers are grumbling, I haven't been unfair to you. I paid you what I promised you. You're out nothing. You're still receiving the full day's wage. You wouldn't be complaining if you didn't see somebody else get paid the same thing that you're getting paid, right? But you're upset at my generosity. You're upset that I'm treating those latecomers, those who maybe didn't or couldn't work as hard as you, you're upset that I'm treating them as I'm treating you. I get this. I think you do too. I get upset at seeing others being given more than what I think they deserve. I get frustrated by doing more than my fair share on a group project and we all still get the A. I get being upset when you put in extra work hours for a project and the team all gets the same recognition. I get it. I want fair. And I can easily get stuck there with this story if I don't remember that context. Who is first and who is last? Jesus talking about who's in and who's not. In Jesus' kingdom, those who came to the vineyard last, or maybe the Gentiles to those early readers, are just as in as the ones who were hired in the early morning, those Jewish people who had been in that tradition for all of their life and generations before them. Isn't it interesting that the vineyard owner just keeps going back for more? I love this about this story. I didn't really notice it until I sat and dug in a little bit, but he just keeps going back. Not once or twice, but 4 more times. He kept inviting more and more people to work for him. And by the end of the day, he kept inviting those who had been picked over, for whatever reason, missed the mark earlier in the day. Multiple times. And then he paid them all the same. We get to see through the eyes of Jesus in this story. Every single person has something to offer. Every single person has value and deserves dignity. Every one, not just the strong and skilled. Every single person. And there's no varying degrees of dignity. There's no separation, no lines drawn between who deserves more. They're all equal and given the same thing at the end of the day. No hierarchy, no levels, no division, only dignity for all. Everyone matters. Our culture would have us believe the lie that only some people matter and the rest do not. But scriptures tell us over and over and over again that that idea is not just wrong, but it's the complete opposite of how we are to live. This parable gives us one example. Here are a couple of others. Way back in Genesis, this beautiful vision of how the world should be. God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created humankind in God's own image. In the image of God, they were created, male and female. God created them. Not just some, not just those who get it right or who are strong, who are abled, but all people. All of humankind are made in the image of God. And then in Galatians 3, verse 28 says this: "There is no longer Jew or Gentile, no longer slave or free, male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." You're all one. Christ lives in each of us. No divisions, no hierarchies, no different levels. All of these stories teach us to demand dignity for ourselves and for everyone around us. Not to demean people with division. Every single one we know, every single person we don't know are made in God's image. And we should do everything we can to promote that idea, to live into that. I am all in for this view of the world. I'm a big fight for the underdog kind of person. So this beautiful world vision where everyone has access and opportunity is my jam. I am all into that. Until I'm not. You know that image of equality versus equity. Have you seen this? There's a fence, and there are people that are all given the same step stool, but there's somebody this tall, there's a little kid, there's somebody, one of them that I've seen has a wheelchair. So if you can't access that step stool, or if it's not tall enough for you to see over, it's still the same as if you were given nothing, right? So everybody's given the same. Equality. Equity is the tall person doesn't need the step stool. I will give you my step stool, I promise. If you need a step stool, you can have it. And then there was a ramp for the person in a wheelchair, so that at the end, their heads are all on an even level, so they can all see over the fence. I love that graphic. Everybody gets access to what they have, what they need. Everybody gets to start on equal footing. Everyone is worthy of basic human dignity. Until it comes to somebody I really disagree with. Until it comes to somebody I really don't understand their perspective. Until it comes to someone who causes harm to those that I love. Those people, I want to keep them out. I want to put them in a separate category that is far, far, far away from me. I want to be divided. I want to put up a wall. I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to treat them as if we are one, as if they are made in the image of God, as if we are all connected. Preaching is super fun because it makes you look inside. Anybody who would like to join in is welcome to do that. But it forces you to be honest. And it's a good thing to be honest. So if we are to say, I want a world where there is not division, where everyone is worthy of basic human dignity, we're going to need some tools to combat the lies that we believe too, right? So let me offer a couple of things that might be helpful. They've been helpful for me when I run up against this here. First, a practice. I have this tiny little journal that I got as a resource through my other job. It says, I Love My Neighborhood Journal. It is from a resource called the Hopeful Neighborhood Project, and it has all of these little activities that you can do in your neighborhood to see the good and delight in your neighborhood and get to know people. Anyway, one of the activities in here is a very simple activity that I'm going to invite you into. This is something that you can take and do in your house, like in your actual neighborhood that you live in. You can do it in your school, whatever group of people you're a part of. But I'm going to invite you to do it with this group of people, this faith community. I'm going to invite you to think of 3 people who do not live in the same home as you. So somebody outside of your home, but in this faith community in some way. Okay? Think of 3 people. For each of those people, I want you to think of a word that describes a gift of theirs. A unique gift that that person offers to those around them. It can be a tangible gift. It can be an intangible gift. As you think of that person, what is the word that describes who they are and the gift they bring to the world around them? Okay? There are Post-its nearby. I'm going to invite you to write those words on a Post-it. We're going to bring it up later, and we'll gather a whole bunch of goodness about this community and the gifts of this community. So take a minute, think of 3 people, and write down the gift that they bring. Don't write down their name, just the gift. If you want to write their name, you're more than welcome to, I guess. But write down the gift that these people bring to this community. Yes, all on the same note. Or others if you want. The world is your oyster, Jeff. You do you. If you don't know anyone here, then you're welcome to talk about the people in your home. Thank you, Kevin. If you're online, we'd love to have you join in this exercise and write some notes in the comments as well. You can keep writing, and you'll have a little bit more time later as we come to the communion table as well. It is a good practice to look at other people with different eyes, to say they're not just the money they can make or their job or whatever things that are on the surface, right? It's a good practice to say that person is a gift, because you know what? When I stand next to them, I breathe easier. When I see their face, it makes me smile. Those are gifts to be celebrated that we don't often celebrate in this culture, right? All right, so that's a practice that I will offer to you. Second, I'm going to offer somewhat of a mantra that has become helpful for me. This came from a woman named Valerie Kaur. Chris mentioned her in the last Finding Our Footing meeting that we did downstairs. She is amazing, and she has become the person that I will just absorb everything she reads or everything she writes and everything she puts out in the world. She's got a book called The Sage Warrior. That's her second book. This QR code will, there it is. Ooh. This QR code will take you to a TED Talk. It's about 22 minutes long, and I was I almost just played this today instead of you listening to me talk, because it's so good. It is full of goodness about thinking about how to love ourselves, how to love our neighbors, and how to love our enemies, and do so in really beautiful ways. So as she describes her most recent book, she says these words: "Open your eyes and walk on this earth with the eyes of a sage," which means anyone you see, you can say, "You are a part of me I do not yet know. And if I see you as my sister, as my brother, as my kin, then I must be willing to stand up for you when you are in harm's way." I love that phrase. You are a part of me I do not yet know. We are all connected. You are a part of me, and I am a part of you. Like it or not, we are all connected. And if you're a part of me that I do not yet know, then it's time to get curious. Curious about you and your lived experience, curious about me and the lens through which I see the world, leaning in and not pushing away. I sat for a really long time this week with these kinds of questions. But why can't I just be the person that fights for equity and stop there? Do I really have to see everyone as connected to me? Like everyone? Can't I just value the ones who have largely been devalued in our society and leave alone the ones I disagree with? And then I realized that on some level, I too believe the lie that some people matter and the rest do not. And if I want that lie to be erased from other people's minds, I have to erase it from mine too. I can't just shift the circle of who matters and who doesn't. I have to do whatever I can to widen the circle. Notice that vineyard owner didn't take anything away from those early morning workers. He still paid them what he promised. He didn't kick them out of the vineyard early and say, "You're done, these other people are coming in now." He just kept adding and widening the circle. And every single person in that vineyard that day mattered. Everyone was paid. May we be people who build a world of dignity and not division, a world where everyone matters. We come to this table nearly every week here. We don't ask anybody to prove their worthiness at this table. You're simply welcome. You are included. Whether this is the first time you've ever stepped foot in this building, whether you've been coming here regularly for 20 years, this circle just keeps getting wider. Age, gender, race, socioeconomic status, ability, skill, none of those things divide us when we come to this table. So we're going to share this meal together around this table as we dream and work toward a world that looks like that. We're going to need a couple of volunteers to come help serve. A couple of people in the front, a couple of people in the back. Thank you, Nolan. You won't be alone, I promise you won't be alone. For those of you who need or prefer a gluten-free option, that will be up front. In the back, there will be bread and juice. Nolan, you're on your own this morning, unless other people are gonna step up here. All right, Mike, excellent. All right. Thank you. Where do you want to go, Ted? You want to stay up here? You're gonna go to the back with Nolan? Awesome. Laura's coming up to help you, Mike. And we'll have the gluten-free one up here as well. Lindsay's coming up. Didn't I see Laura walking? Oh, and then she sat down. All right. Whew. Seeing things, everybody. It's fine. This is a place where you are all invited. No matter what, you are all invited. You're not expected to join this meal. If for whatever reason it means more to sit where you are or walk around the room, then do that today. But know that you are invited. All are welcome at this table. We'll come forward and then take the elements back to our seats and eat and drink together. Come, for the table is now ready. on the night that Jesus was betrayed. After giving thanks, he took the bread and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take, eat, this is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." After eating, he took the cup and said, "This cup is the new covenant. Do this as often as you drink it, and remember me." Friends, take and drink. We'll send these baskets around that you can put your cups in. And as that's happening, Kevin's going to come up and lead another song here. But as he does that, let me mention one other thing here. You see that Kevin's alone up on this stage. He's very sad to be alone. Many of our young musicians, well, some of them had prom last night and other things, and they're seniors and they're graduating. So a lot of our musicians are stepping into some different stages in life. So don't leave Kevin alone on the stage. He will be very sad. If you are a musician of any sort, if you play an instrument like a guitar or a keyboard or the drums, if you would like to participate in our music together, it is great joy. That is, when I first started coming to the branch, I got started with the Create planning team, and I got to play with other musicians, and it's so much fun. So if you have a musical interest and talent, we would love to have you included in. I see people just nudging their friends and family members. This is fun. I'm going to write these people down. If that's something that would be fun to you, we would love to have a conversation, whether it's leading as Kevin does or supporting some of our other musicians. We would love to know that. So come talk to Chris or myself or even Kevin, and we'll get you plugged in. Let me invite you to stand and sing one more song here with Kevin.
Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. For in the giving we shall receive, and in the dying we're given life. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Lord, make me an instrument of peace, an instrument of peace. Where there is sorrow, let me sow love. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is injury, your pardon give, your consolation to those in pain.
that is our hope and prayer, that we would be instruments of peace in the world. But you know what? That's going to take some courageous creativity. And yes, I've just segued exquisitely into what I want to talk about here at the end. Would you put that up there, Brian? This is one of our core values: courageous creativity. We rewrote these words a couple of years ago, and at our partner gathering last week, we revisited our values, and as I was reading through them, I was like, whoa, it felt right a couple of years ago. It feels especially right today. The world is dramatically changing. Check. The way forward is unknown. But in trusting God, we choose to take risks and try new things. We're getting together tonight at JB's Pizza at 6 o'clock to practice courageous creativity. We're inviting not just the branch. I hope you've invited some people. I hope you've been thinking about, like, who are my neighbors and who are my friends who in the last 100 days have felt discouraged, confused, lost, hopeless, tired, etc. Because what we're going to try and do tonight is gather together and together infuse each other with some courage and with some creativity for how we might move forward. So that's tonight at JB's at 6 o'clock. If it's at a pizza parlor, yes, there will be free pizza. You can count on that. And we'll be done around 7:15 or so. We'd love to have you. Just wanted to make sure you knew about that tonight. Okay. Friends, may you be instruments of peace this week. Where there is sorrow or hatred or pain or injury, may you respond with love. Be those people this week. Amen. Thanks for being here. Good to see you.